Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge in the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2022 The Other Open, known as the 3M Open, and this is my DFS pick show. Also, I'm going to be doing my Before the Lock, so we're combining both since it is Wednesday afternoon that I'm getting this out, and so we're going to do ownership projections. I'm going to give you my top 15 picks plus my top 5 cheapies. We're going to talk weather, maybe a possible AM/PM wave kind of possible flight that we might want to look at. And with that said, first and foremost, thank you for stopping by, checking me out. Give me about, probably gonna take about 45 minutes to an hour to get through all this information. I'm gonna do all the deep dive analysis that you've grown to love. And with that said, let's go talk a little golf. All right, so real quick, if you missed my preview show, I showed this, but I want to just bring it up real quick again. This was some stats that I think are pretty key to kind of navigating TPC Twin Cities. First thing you need to know is that it is some of the easiest greens on the PGA Tour, represented here by 5 feet, 10 feet, 25 feet, where it ranks. Also, very gettable par fives when you see like Sedgeville, Wailea. Funny enough, Torrey Pines is on there south, but still show that the percentage of people going for it and achieving is very high. And then some of the tougher par 3 holes on the PGA Tour shows here the 4th, the 8th, the 13th, and the 17th. You can see where it comes up on, again, from a par 3 perspective. So very tough par 3s, very gettable par 5s, and very easy greens to putt. With that said, what is it that I am looking at from a stroke gain analysis? How am I ranking them? From a skill set, who am I looking for, I guess is a simpler way to put it. Number 1 will be approach, which is not too far off. Typically, it's up there. Ball striking 2, off the tee. Putting on big greens, we're going to look at these proximity of the pins that show up 20% and 24% of the time. That's 175 to 200, then, of course, 200 out. We're also going to see who does well on those tough par 3s that I just talked about, from 200 to 225. You got some long par 4s, and you got 5 total, but a couple at over 500, and then you got 3 coming in at 450 to 500. And then we're also going to look at stroke gain on these more gettable par 5s. And then, of course, these guys are going to have to make birdies because typically, I think the score was, 20 under the first year, like 17 under, then 15 under. So it's all going to depend on weather and whatever. Also depending on the fields, right? The first field I think that they had at this event that we are discussing on TPC Twin Cities was a pretty strong field. Okay, and then the last thing is comparable courses, just so you know what I thought. I mentioned, I think, that PGA National, the Honda Classic, from playability, I think is very similar. I think it's, of course, the Honda is a tougher tournament, but I think with the water and how the course plays, I think it's probably the best thing that we have if you want to look at a comp. I also think Bay Hill, Quail, and Innisbrook, Copperhead would be the other ones that I'm looking at. So I did run my model against those comp courses, of course, including TPC Twin Cities, and these were the guys rated out. All right, with that said, let's go over into Fantasy National. Let's do a little analysis on these guys, let you see who I'm interested in. Also, you'll get to see a lot of information to allow to make you some of your own picks, who you like, or reconfirm who you're thinking. And then we'll go into ownership projections, weather. We'll kick this thing back out. I'll summarize my top 20 plays and then get you guys out of here. Okay, so I've jumped over into Fantasy National, and if you want to check it out, it's fantasynational.com. And as I always state, if you have any dollars or money that you are betting on golf or from a DFS perspective, you need to check out Fantasy National. It gives you all the information to make the best picks possible. Okay, with that little plug done, we're going to be looking at DraftKings pricing. And as usual, I'm actually going to look at the last 24 rounds. I want a little more recent form than the last 36 rounds. Of course, that'd be 6 tournaments, depending on cuts or not. I've got no filters turned on over here to the left. And of course, I've already done some pre-analysis on these guys. And then, of course, you're seeing kind of the final view of what I'm looking at. What you're seeing here is what I call a mini model. I talked about the stroke gain analysis rankings that I like. I picked the top 5. And so ball striking being number 1, approach, off the tee. I like those very tough par 3s I want pulled in. And then the proximity 175 to 200 that shows up, I think it was over 20% of the time. We'll also get to see how many birdies are these guys executing or making over the last 24 rounds. And then, of course, over here you get recent results. So where have they finished over the last 5 tournaments? And of course, this tournament has been held here for the past 3 years. So we get to see some tournament history if they've played there. Lastly, you can see pricing, projected ownership. We're going to go into that further, and then cuts made, and of course, where they rank against this mini model. All right. With all that said, you've got a choice in the 10,000 range of 3 guys, and right, all 3 of these guys are coming back from the Open. So if you do some calculations, and if I remember correctly, maybe Sanjay M. I mean, it doesn't say miscut, so I guess he made the cut. I don't remember. I don't care. I didn't play him last week. But long story short, I know Matsuyama and Finau, who made a putt on the 36th hole to actually get into the weekend and had a good Sunday. All these guys are flying back. And where I was going with this is, were they there until like late Sunday, possibly Monday, which, you know, you lose kind of almost a day coming back across the pond back to the States. So best case, these guys got to get in a little bit of practice, I think, on today, Wednesday. So you could take the narrative that you want to fade, a lot of these guys. I don't think there's a ton. I was actually going to create a model or pull up all the guys that were over in the Open, but I don't think you can fade them all. But where I'm going with this is that I'll probably be doing some builds where I won't have any of these guys in my lineup. But if you're asking me who I would play or who I will play at the 10,000 range, it's Hideki Matsuyama. And it's kind of funny. I don't understand how this is even possible that Tony Finau ranks higher and costs more than Hideki Matsuyama. I mean, Matsuyama, of course, won the Masters. He's a major winner, and he's won 9 tournaments on the PGA Tour. Tony Finau has won the Puerto Rico Open, and he has won 1 FedEx Cup event at a very easy track. Now, I get that Tony Finau has had a ton of runner-up finishes, but he's also not been in the best form earlier this year. I mean, he's picked it up within the last 4 or 5 tournaments. So I guess that's the argument you can make if you want to go over recent form. But I mean, you got Matsuyama, who's been dealing with a bit of a neck injury, but I think he's purely over that. You got the DQ at the Memorial, which he was a few over after 9 holes anyways. But he had that 3-wood, right, marking issue. Not the greatest showing at the PGA Championship. Good showing at the U.S. Open, and, had a T68 at the Open. Also had a good Sunday. A lot of the guys had good Sundays at the Open. But, I mean, you can see from a pure ball striking perspective, not too many guys can beat Hideki Matsuyama. You can also see from a birdie perspective. So, and also from a scoring DraftKings perspective, I feel a little better with Hideki. Typically, what I've been seeing out of Tony is he kind of has a humdrum first couple days, and he's been going, nuts on Sundays if he makes the cut. So, it's up to you. But for me, I'll probably be fading most of these guys, and if I do play someone, it'll be Hideki. Sanjay M, just has not been I don't think good form all year. My own perspective is I have not played him much at all. I don't think I picked him much. Well, the only time I actually really picked him and then played him in a one and done, of course, was for the Honda Classic, and he missed the cut. So there you go. That's probably also a little feelings on Hideki. So, these 3 guys are your options up top, and I'd rather kind of go more balanced because it is a pretty weak field, and I like the guys kind of in between 9 and 7, and that's where I'm peppering. So, all right. So the next guy you can look at is at 9,800. Of course, Sahith Theegala. Makes a lot of sense, this course for him. If you think about like Sanderson Farms, right, it was his first kind of breakout that he did well. You also could even use TPC Scottsdale, where he almost won, except, I think it was the 17th hole, drove it in the water. It was actually a great shot. I think if I remember, he caught the green, and I think it ran off and in. But he's been playing great golf, and I haven't been a true Sahith truther. I've been kind of on and off on him, but in this field and at this price, I see no problem of starting your builds with Sahith. And like I said, you can see a very nice recent form. And, of course, he also had, a little bit reminded me of the Mito Pier at the Travelers, with the ability to win that tournament, and then, of course, drove it in the bunker and then couldn't get it out, and you guys know the rest. So I don't think I need to go in a whole lot. I mean, I'll click on Sahith for you just so you can see. There's not a ton of data. You can see Poa, funny enough, from a putting surface in Paul's Palm, or past Palm, little stutter there. Everything's green. The putter can cause him problems at times. We don't have the information from the Open, You can go to Data Golf, and they will have some information regarding his stroking for the Open, but Fantasy National did not pull it in. But you can see at the John Deere, he would have, just if he could have just broke even, he could have had easily a top 5, but possibly win. So just top form, and no issues on that play. That is a guy that I'll be using. Adam Hadwin's actually had one of the better track records here. I think I mentioned this on my preview show from a one and done perspective. Now, again, only 3 tournaments of a sample size, but a T6 and a fourth. So it's definitely somebody you could, use from a one and done perspective. I don't know. I'm not super excited to play Adam Hadwin here. I mean, I don't really have a big against. I mean, it's not even the cut at the John Deere. Let's go take a quick look at him. I mean, again, typically the short game and the putter, it's the irons, the ball striking that's a little bit, maybe that's kind of where I'm thrown off. I mean, typically around the green, and, even the putter's not been that great. So yeah, just so you guys know, my narrative of the guys that I'm looking at is I'm looking at elite ball strikers and not worried about the putting because of how easy these greens are. And against, if you start to think of some of the past winners, well, at least specifically Cameron Champ, last year who won, can light it up ball striking, and then he just had a crazy day of putting on the greens. Matt McNeely, I feel like overpriced, even in this field. Just I haven't seen enough. Also, what you're not seeing here, and if I remember what these guys did at the Barracuda, I'll let you know. I think they have the Barbasol. He did not play the Barbasol, but he played the Barracuda. And I think he was around top 20. He had a possibility of doing something on Sunday and kind of fell back. I remember I think he had a double bogey towards the end of his round on Sunday. So again, I don't know. I've been back and forth on Mav. I still like him when he's in California. Hence, that's his parents, I guess, have a place. Just side note, right there by Truckee, California, where they play the Barracuda. Hence, I guess that's why he played there. When he's in California, for me, he's live. And that's about it for me right now. Davis Riley, I think he's going to be super chalk. And we're going to, of course, go over ownership projections. But you can see, everything is great. He did not play in the Open, so he should be well rested. Last tournament was the Traveler, so he didn't even play the John Deere. You can see making tons of birdies. Very elite on everything that I'm looking for. He's never played this tournament. And there's really not a lot. I'm not going to go through like the core stuff, but I just want you to see the information. You can see, again, just easily looking at that he's doing everything very well. Cam Davis, let's go on him because he also played the Barracuda and kind of fell apart on Sunday at the end. Funny enough, he actually, typically we think of him as a bad putter, and he is kind of a bad putter, but this is kind of shocking that over his career, which is now what? He's played 92 rounds of golf on the PGA Tour, and this is showing the last 12 months of data. He actually gains on bent, and these are bent greens, and his one win on tour at the Rocket Mortgage was bent greens. You can also see at the John Deere, which is bent greens, he gained about a stroke and a half. Let's do that. Just wanted to see. So there's the Rocket Mortgage. Let's do it this way. Yeah, a lot of Bermuda, funny enough, but that's bent. Don't know. This Northern Trust, that was bent. So I just wanted to see where the bent greens that he actually gained. So again, he played the Barracuda, had a chance to do something. I think I actually bet him live earlier that day, just because, I mean, that's a total, the scoring system, Eagles, which he does make. And that's something that he does very well. He is going to typically outscore his pricing. Now, in this field, that's probably not going to be the case, maybe 8,900. Typically, right, we're getting Cam Davis, depending on the field, somewhere around, 7,500. So, but still, out of this group of players we have, he's, definitely one of the better ball strikers. And you can see just nice green, making birdies, and nice recent form. I mean, it's Charles Schwab on bent greens. He had a T7, and then bent greens again on a T8. Also, I think a pretty good bet. I forgot what his at. I think he's somewhere in the 20s. But which doesn't get me super excited, but I don't know if you could have caught a number on him earlier, maybe he would have been in the 30s. I also like Cameron Tringali. So, we of course saw that opening round, what he led the Genesis 36 holes and had that, 61. Again, out of this, field, He's one of the more elite players and can get, as we see, pretty streaky, super hot. Let's go look at Cameron Tringale. He's also, if I remember correctly, the longest tenured PGA pro, or the most starts without a win, I guess is the simplest way to put it. He's due. And for a while there in the beginning of the year, we were getting a lot of first-time winners. So maybe this will finally, I've said this probably 1,000 times, maybe this will be finally Tringale's week. Really kind of bursted on the scene for me back here at the Zozo CJ Cup. Him and Fratelli kind of had their coming out party. And he also has, I just saw, but I'm just going to pull it in, the 3M Open. Pretty good course history here. So again, not a bad one and done play. Pull up the Honda. Played the Honda quite a bit and pretty good. I mean, he's made the cut almost every time, which is difficult at PGA National. And he had a 13th recently. So, if I go look at my number one comparable course, that's probably the only one I'll look at it. I think that makes most sense. Cameron Tringale is a great fit. Chez Reavie, of course, just came off that huge win at the Barracuda, which I was a little pissed because I bet live Alex Noren and was really expecting. Reavie's a terrible putter and was just waiting. He was falling apart beginning of Sunday, missing like 4-footers. But then, did enough. I think he went in with forgot now how many point lead he had going into the start. But I was really hoping on Noren. Of course, I mentioned the Michael Thompson parlay bet with Cam Smith. I was really hoping for that even more, but just to get a little money out. But Chez Reavie held on by a point. So I don't know. I'm gonna go a little bit of that narrative that he just came off a win. He's been playing pretty good. He's got good course history. There's nothing against him. I mean, you could flip that and just say, well, he's in some of the best form he's ever been in the last few years, and you would be correct with that. Let's go look at his stroke gain data. Now we're not going to get, because what I wanted to see, so I didn't pull in the big win at the Barracuda. Yeah, he gained 4 strokes at the Travelers. That's huge for him. Gained a little bit at Wells. Now you got to remember that's not Quail Hollow. That's that TPC, whatever, Avondale Farms, Potomac, or whatever. The Mexico Open has a pretty simple course. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot bad. I'm just going to go with a narrative of, not playing a guy right off a win, and that's the first win he's had since 2019, I believe, off the top of my head. All right, Mr. Adam Long also has not won on the PGA Tour. I just want to go qualify that, but I'm almost 99.9%. Oh, I take that back. He won at the Amex. Okay, moving on to the next guy that I'm interested in, Adam Long, which kind of, he's been brought up a bit, right? He had the second place finish the year Michael Thompson won. And you can see, again, been playing really good golf. I'm always on Adam Long. I think I told you guys, you've been watching me a while. Whenever they do the vacation swing, he just seems to show up there. Let's go take a look at it. So he won, the Amex back in 2019. His next best finish, funny enough, was the 3M Open. There's the Mayakoba. There's Corrales. So Arnold Palmer, which I think is not a bad comparable. Let's see if he's played the Honda, what he's done there. Played the Honda 3 times, miscut, and a made in 27th. So, all right, yeah. So, anyways, let's go look at it. I didn't look at his putting splits for you guys. So, funny enough, Ben, he is positive, but it's not his best surface over the last 12 months. So, do whatever you want with that. JT Poston, right, coming off also amazing form, just won the John Deere. Had a chance to almost win the Travelers. So, he's in crazy form. Funny enough, I'm trying to think who else I was looking at. JT Poston was a late ad for me. I don't know if someone else was CH3 or someone withdrew, but I wasn't on Poston just because I think he was going to be super chalky. And I've just seen so much of bad golf out of Poston. But, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go ahead, strike while the iron's hot. Of course, he missed a cut at the Open, but I'm not worried about that at all. This is, not the Open, not the field, and not the course. I think there's no reason why he can't do well here. I mean, it's not too dissimilar from TPC Deer Run, where he just won, or the Travelers. There's some similarities there. So, yeah, he should be pretty well. Well, I don't know. He also traveled, so I forgot that he actually played the Open after I just stated it. Anyway, so I like JT Poston, but if you're going to go with, I'm not playing anybody from the Open, he'd be somebody you'd want to remove, even though he got the fly back even earlier. Mark Harper withdrew, which is too bad. He's been in great form. Again, had a chance to win the Barbasol and then was right up there on the leaderboard and a chance to win the Barracuda. So it's, I don't know. I guess he feels like he's done enough, probably from a FedEx Cup standpoint. I mean, that's another angle. I typically don't really start worrying about that too much. But I have noticed the tournament before, so it won't be the Rocket Mortgage. Maybe it's the Wyndham, where they'll have the FedEx Cup watch. And I have noticed guys that need to make a move will make a move. I mean, you got, I think, Jason Day, Ricky Fowler. You got some of those guys in the field that, have to do some stuff, or they're going to, maybe have to go down the Corn Ferry or, whatever. I don't know what their statuses are right now, but there is that thought. Patty Kazire, I know, is right there. I think he's like 120th. So you need, could be somebody you could think of. All right. So the guy is on my cover screen, and I think is an amazing fit for this course. It kind of fits the Cam Champ build, but he's been playing amazing golf. He's got distance. I think he averages, what does it say on here, 318, 306, but I mean, I've seen a guy pop it out there, 340. It's the putter, that typically, if the putter goes for Brendan Steele, he will have pretty good. He's played here once at a T53. That would be the first time they played here. And this is the issue right here. You can see all the negative on the putting. But let's go see. So that's pretty crazy. Lost 6 strokes with the putter at the Travelers, but gained 11 tee to green. So again, perfect example. You just go neutral with the putter on the field against the field, and you probably got to win. Yeah, so he hasn't done really a whole lot at all. Last time he's actually gained anything with the putter worth any hoot. And again, I always state that if you're having issues with the irons, it's going to typically maybe give you a chance to improve with the putter because you're going to be putting a lot further length putts. But a nice showing at the Players, good showing at the PGA Championship, Memorial. Of course, he's going to be up there from an ownership projection. I don't think it's any shock that he's going to be popular. Marty Laird, so I think I actually had Marty Laird. This is correct. So I swapped out Marty Laird for JT Poston. And little of the reasoning is he was also at the Barracuda and had a really good opportunity to win and kind of fell apart towards the end. And I guess a bit of a stretch, but you can also see he struggles on these, the long par threes, the proximities. His putter, I watched him just miss so many makeable putts. It was actually pretty rough to watch, but got distance, and he's also very accurate. So which makes sense for the Barracuda. It's a pretty tight track, but you can see here, we don't have any information on the Barracuda, but irons have been good, gaining a little bit off tee, but the putter. So I kind of just said, you know what, out of the two, and you're talking $200 difference. I'm sorry, you're talking a $300 difference. I'd rather go with JT Poston. All right, CH3, I told you, withdrew. Nick Hardy, I don't really have any issues. I think he's still kind of battling a wrist thing, but you can see, good form, making tons of birdies. I'm not saying I'm not going to sprinkle him in, but he won't make my top 15. Ryan Palmer, if you're building that, which I am, I've got a lot of my picks are like team no putt, just really good tee to green, just can't typically putt. But Ryan Palmer can get hot with a putter. You can see projected ownership is quite low. So that also is going to dictate what I'm doing. I mean, and again, this is from a perspective of, the large GPP tournaments. If you're playing cash game, I still like all my picks. But when I talk about these other guys, this is to get a little unique. And you're going to have to do that, right? When there's, I don't even know, 50,000 entries on this thing. Chris Gotterup is going to be super chalky. He just missed a cut at the Barbasol and, had a miscut at RBC. So, again, in the early odds, I was going to go with Gotterup, but again, because of an ownership perspective, I think I'm going to, just go ahead and let that chalk go. And if he hurts me, he hurts me. Jason Day, no thank you. If you want to build a unique lineup, put Fowler, Jason Day, you put a bunch of has-beens in your field. Like I said, they could just pop. You never know. All right, your past champion, Cameron Champy. You can see I've been trying to will this guy into a win multiple times this year, and it's just been bad. So I'm trying to think the last time that I was thinking about him. Might have been the Byron Nelson. But like I said, this guy will come out of nowhere, as you see here last year. 4 missed cuts, but he did show life at the John Deere. And I've mentioned this in my preview show. Gained on bent and then went out and went nuts. So we know it can happen. And typically he wins one tournament per year. Has for, I think, the last 3 years in running. Well, so technically he missed 2020, but 18, 19, 21. If you're building a bombers, like if, then of course you put Cameron Champ in there. We've got quite a few of those guys in the field that have one very elite thing they do, and it's, drive the ball a long way, maybe not even very accurately at times. I think Brennan Todd makes sense. But this being a bit of a score fest, and that's what I'm projecting. I mean, it's again what the weather does, but I'm projecting it's going to be upper teens. He just, for me, just can't score enough. Let me see here. I can say that, but then I think of some of his wins back in 2019 was it? Where, OHL and Bermuda, you got to go low. The Byron Nelson, I mean, that's a while ago. But these two events, and then he almost won. It was the next event. Maybe it was Corrales. The whole vacation swing back then. But anyways, I like him. I think it makes sense. I just don't think he scores enough for me. You got the Svensson, my boy, that I've been on since he got his card back. So if you've been following me, you've been on this train with me for a while, and now everybody's jumping on the Adam Svensson train. I mean, look at his projected ownership, almost at 22% now. That's crazy. We were getting him at, 6,200 in most fields, and nobody was playing him. But I think, he's been coming on people's radars, of course. He had a chance to win the Barbasol. He's got a bunch of 20s here. Played here the first year and had a T15. So everything's saying play Adam Svensson. I can't not pick him just because of ownership. I think he's a good play. But with that kind of ownership, I will probably not be putting him in a lot of builds into the large GPP. Now, if you're doing a single entry or a cash lineup, he's a good play. I mean, he's one of the better guys, I think. He's putting now, so let's go look at that. I didn't really bring that up. So you see, great ball striker. Typically, it's the putter. And if you watch the Sony Open, he could actually had a good chance to win that, but couldn't make a 3-footer. But you can see right here, he's been, gaining quite a bit. I mean, he's gained over his last 7 events, where typically before that, you can see quite a bit more red. Where's that Sony at? Played a lot of golf, too. So he did gain, but boy, on Sunday when I watched him, because I, of course, had our buddy Russ Henley and Matsuyama, and he was right there behind him, and just watched him just keep missing little putts. All right, anyways, great play, no issues. Fratelli I actually like. This will be the guy that I substitute in for the Svensson or, some of these guys that will have a higher ownership. I'll tell you why. You can see he's actually got a pretty decent course history here. He won the John Deere, which is a pretty, as I said, pretty similar. It's a TPC track. It's, it's you got to hit it where you got it. He's also got crazy length, which this doesn't represent, but he can also get it out there 330. Also, typically a bad putter, but we can see we don't have the last couple events he played in. Forgot that he even actually played in the Open and had a 28. So there you go. So he probably gained with the putter, I would say, for him. So he's been on a pretty good run with the putter, and he will have that crazy spike week, right? So, he won the John Deere, and then, funny enough, a couple majors, he just shows up. That Masters that was in the fall, where if you had him in your lineups, that was like kind of the game changer because he was like almost bare min price to get you a 5th place. Sanderson Farms. He's actually done well at the Honda too, which is a good comp course. So a lot is pointing towards Fratelli. So I actually had him in my top 15, and I pulled him out, I think, for Mr. Tom Kim that we'll talk about in a second. So anyways, next guy, which, fits right into the ball striker, no putt extraordinaire. Grillo has been showing us some life. Had a good chance at the John Deere to win, and I was pulling for that because I had a nice bet on him. It has a couple also missed cuts, but I mean, compared to what he was like, he's also at a T3 here. It's all if that putter pops, that's what you're going for, is the upside of a decent putting round, which you can see he had at the John Deere. Again, pretty simple greens, bent. But you can see this is typically what you're going to get out of Emiliano Grillo with the putter. Of course, he won, I think, his inaugural event at the Safeway, which is now the Fort Met. His RBC was pretty recent. And that's about it. Not a whole lot. Just trying to see his other best finish. CJ Cup in the fall. But yeah, you'll see a lot of missed cuts. He was struggling there to kick the year off, but I mean, like I said, he has shown some life. So I'm on Grillo. He's my kind of flavor. And then Wyndham Clark, has been playing some really good golf. Had a nice showing at the RBC at one time. I believe led that field. I don't know if that was after 36 holes. He does two things typically pretty well. That's the driver and the putter. The irons are typically a disaster. Let's go take a look at that real quick. Just trying to see the last time he gained. Funny, the RBC Canadian, he still ended up in 7th. But yeah, he gained 11 strokes putting. That's crazy. But lost 3 strokes with the iron. So, yep, typically pretty decent off the tee. Typically a decent putter. For some reason, I feel like POA is his best surface. Yeah, by far. Anyways, but I like him. 7,500. It's not bad. Projected ownership's not too bad right now. Matthew Neesmith, throw him right in that bucket too. A great ball striker, typically very bad with the putter. Of course, he won or almost won the Valspar. Also, is not won on the PGA Tour, I believe. Yep. So Valspar is his best finish. Good showing at Waste Management. Shriners is a score fest. And I look at, let's see what he played the Honda. Oh wow, played the Honda 3 times, made the cut every time. That's pretty impressive. Note to self for the Honda next year to play Neesmith. Played here twice and missed a cut both times, so there you go. CT Pan, same thing. Been playing steady golf. Your bronze medalist winner, right, from the Olympics. That's correct. And let's go take a look at the Pan Man. Also a pretty decent ball striker. Let's see here. Irons have been a little bit off. Putter's been, actually doing some things. The irons have been better here recently. What's it showing me? Oh, around the green. Okay. So yeah, good ball striker. Yeah, I mean, overall, that one missed cut at the Travelers over like the last 10 events. So probably going to be a little chalky, but I like the Pan Man. Garrett Cagle, I told you guys, I'm betting him. He's shown me some little spurts. He also has a very early tee time, if I remember correctly, Thursday morning. I believe that's correct. So check that out. But for a first round leader, I'm betting him. Same with Troy Merritt. Has an early tee time too. And I've always told you guys, if you want to bet first round, which that's the only one I ever do, is just first round 1 leaders. And just take a bunch of guys early morning. And, those guys will pop once in a while. I've hit probably 3, I think, this year. And it's nice. You put a little $1,000, couple thousand in your pocket to start the weekend. It feels pretty good. All right. EVR, you have withdrawn. I think you still have neck issues, I think I saw. Lucas Glover, again, if he's at that ownership, I have no problem with playing Lucas, right? Also won the John Deere. And he's a great ball striker. And it's the same thing. It's just a putter. It has been rough. I mean, don't get me wrong. The putter has been brutal. But, one little thing clicks and you can see this. Not the problem of getting there. It's once he gets there. Has gained a little. The John Deere, I mean, again, but his irons were actually off that time. So this is the problem. When he does this, gains, 7 strokes, 8 strokes off with his irons, and then lose 6 with the putter. It's just crazy. But also, like Rahm earlier in the year, the closer you put it to the pin and you miss, the bigger your putting numbers are going to go down. So, if you're not the greatest iron player, but you're a really good putter and you're draining 30 footers all day, you're going to have crazy stroke gain putting. Or if you're sticking it 10 feet every time and you keep missing it, you're going to have some issues. And that's Lucas Glover. The Smother Man, again, if you've been with me all year, I've been on this guy from the word go. When I got to watch him, on PGA Live at Torrey Pines early in the year and just watch what he could do with the ball, I was sold. So tee to green, again, amazing. Where he struggles is the scoring side. He just, he'll put a round together, but the other ones are kind of blah. He's making cuts. I mean, except recently the John Deere to Travelers, but I mean before that he was making a shitload of cuts. But it's typically the putter around the green. Great off the tee. He's got distance. I just, for me, he looks a little bit like Will Z. I kind of call him like a cheap Will Z, a really cheap Will Z. So 7,400 there. My boy Blackbeard. This will probably come back and bite me in the ass. I still have not bet him. I think last I saw, this was a couple days ago, was 80-1. And he's just been so bad. Now, he did play the Barracuda, and I think I talked about this, and was tied for 7th going into Sunday morning, and then really didn't do a whole lot on Sunday. I think he ended up like T10 or some shit like that. But you can see, of course, past winter, and he's won one more tournament. Where was that at now? Oh, the Honda. So there you go. There's my perfect example of correlation. But yeah, that's kind of a joke. But yeah, I do believe these are probably the most closest relatable courses out there. So yeah, anyways, I don't know what to do with Michael Thompson. I will probably have to put him in a lineup or two, because if he literally came top 5, I would be a little remiss. Stuart Sink, I actually like a lot. And I'm excited. I hope this projected ownership stays there. And the good news for us is that I don't have 30,000 followers yet. So like Pat Mayo, if he was all over a guy, of course, ownership would just go up. And, good for him. But I like him. I mean, the guy does everything I want. And if you look at, his past history is not the greatest here, but where Stuart Sink has had his wins and pretty recent wins, RBC, you got to drive and keep it in the fairway. Fortinet, the Safeway is kind of the same way back. The Travelers, yeah, where he's had his successes. And of course, he is, I believe, an Open champion, right? Yeah, beat out Tom Watson? 2000, I don't even know now, 8 or 9. I think we talked about this before, but neither here or there. Yeah, I like it. 7,300, sign me up. Dougie Gim, I don't usually pick Doug Gim, but I just said, you know what? If I'm going to go with ball strikers that can't putt, might as well go with Doug Gim. And you can see he's got crazy upside, big downside. I mean, it's a boomer bust play every time I believe you play Doug Gim, unless it's at TPC Sawgrass, the Players. For whatever reason, that guy goes there and just goes in fuego. But he's had some good showings recently. Yeah, funny enough, he's also a bit of a Pete Dye specialist. If you look at this, that's Ben. I was just seeing what he's done on some bent greens. There's the John Deere. RBC Canadian. That's Ben at St. George. I didn't remember what that is. So anyways, yeah, I like Dougie Gim. This is kind of interesting. So Tom Kim did not come up on my radar. So typically how I kind of do things, right? I build my model and then I see who kind of gets sucked up to the top. I also have guys in my mind that I want to look at and play. But this guy, it's kind of funny because we haven't got a lot of stroke gain data from him for a few events. Let's take a look at this. So look at this. This is why he won't come up on a model. You get the total stroke gain here, but the finishes you'll see, but you just don't get to see the rest. And so then what it's doing is pulling in this stuff. So where he didn't have as good of showing. So, we don't have a ton of data on Mr. Tom Kim or Jung Kim, Jung Kim. There's a reason why I think he was a big fan of Thomas the Train, and that's why he goes with Tom. Anyways, neither here or there. I like him. I don't think he's going to be sneaky by any stretch. Right now it says 11.7, but if you're running optimizers or models or stuff like that, like he's going to come up like shit because his last 3 finishes, which have been pretty good, there's no stroke gain data for, at least depending on the system you're looking at, I guess you should say. All right, let's kind of move through some of this a little faster. Chesson Hadley, right, had a good showing at the Travelers. Not the greatest course history. I don't know. He doesn't do enough for me, so no thank you. I actually heard some guys touting Mateus Schwab. What has he done? Is he actually, I don't know what they were saying, the putter? So he's gained a little bit recently with the putter. I don't know. I haven't seen enough from the guy. I mean, again, on any given Sunday, right? But it probably doesn't help too. I tried to play him a couple times in Showdown, and he killed me. So I'm not a big fan of Mateus Schwab. Nick Taylor kind of makes sense, to be honest. This is a Nick Taylor kind of tournament. I have no issues with him. Danny Lee, I think, is actually withdrew. You see it from the Travelers. Let me go look at this real quick. Yeah, see how he has no tee time here. That I think he's withdrawn. I don't know if that's shown up on DraftKings because I felt like I went through that and didn't notice him there. So note to self, I don't know. No issues if he's playing and he's healthy, but I think he's actually withdrew from the tournament. Grayson Sig is one of those guys right on that FedEx Cup cut line. So, like I said, I like to play that little narrative when the Wyndham comes because I've seen it. But, here's a guy that has a lot to play for. Bo Hosler, I think I showed you guys in my modeling, he came out rated the best putter on bent over the last 36 rounds, I think it was. I bet him purely on that. And I mean, he does a little bit like what Cameron Champ does. You see, gains quite a bit on bent. He drives the ball pretty good and has some distance. What does his distance say? 310 yards, not sometimes very accurate. It's the irons, but everything else. So it's just, you can see this irons just needs to go get some different irons. Last time he's gained with his irons was at the Charles Schwabe. But I bet him is where I'm going with all that. I think he was 100 to 1. So I think I like that better than a DFS play. Kramer Hickok, I don't know, right? I mean, for a moment there, Tyler Duncan find out shows up pretty good on my model. And had kind of hit or miss. Probably have a good bet. Let's go take a look at the old Dunk Man. So very accurate, drives about 300. Pretty good ball striker, actually, yeah. Ball striker extraordinaire. And he has been gaining a little bit with a putter. I need to go look at him from a betting perspective. And also, I might sprinkle him in. So keep Tyler Duncan in your mind. Jaha, no. You had your little stint here. Hoagie, nope. That's crazy. Go from winning Pebble Beach Pro-Am to disaster. What he does do very well is this 175 to 200. So you can make an argument. Projected ownership, 7%. That's kind of interesting. What are these guys seeing that they like? I mean, this is just god awful right here. I mean, if you go back to here where he had a nice little run, yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Like to go from win 14th, 30, to 30s, 17th, and 9th to just straight. So again, at any moment, these guys can flip a switch. Paddy Kazire, you guys know, kind of my broke back guy. He just has shown me nothing. But he, as I mentioned, if you want to play guys that are close to the FedEx cut line, the 125, he's right around there. Hayden Buckley, I'm going to go with. You can see, again, pretty good ball strikers, made the last 4 cuts. He had a wrist injury back, I don't know, it's probably been a couple months ago. But seems to be playing fine. I mean, you can see firing on all cylinders. Of course, crushes it here and then loses 8 strokes at the Barbasol. The Deer. So again, he's got some putting issues, but going with my, hey, I'm just going to keep playing the guys that are awesome ball strikers. And because these are such simple greens, hope that comes to fruition. Nate Lashley, no thank you. I've been trying you. Honestly, I don't know if I have. Lee Hodges, well, that's my next guy. Again, one of our Corn Ferry kind of top 25 guys that have been, making some waves. Like his stats. I like some of the younger guys that have a bit more upside. He's got a lower ownership. Let's go take a real quick look here. Not super long, but pretty accurate. With a small bit of data, he actually gained on POA. Not so good on the short game or the putting. So it was gaining a little bit and gained 4 and then lost 4 here. But yeah, good with the irons. Like I said, I'll take guys off the tee in the irons, and then I feel like around the green and putting can be kind of hit or miss. That's my own perspective. And I think, what do I got? I think I got one more for you here. There we go. My buddy Vaughn Taylor comes up 6 in my model, funny enough. Made 3 out of 5 cuts recently. Not so hot of a history, but does make birdies. Number 1 out of this field for the last 24 rounds at 175, 200. Been doing well on these par 3s. Good on approach. Just been playing solid golf. So 6,600. That's as low as I'm going. That's my guy. Satoshi Kodaira. I always tell you guys, I think he's got a later tee time, but I do like him for a first round leader. Henrik Norlander actually had a pretty good showing at the Barracuda. I think he was up there after 36 holes and then kind of fell apart, but you can see he's not been in so hot a form. All right, that's enough for me on the analysis. Hope that helps. Let's go look at projected ownership. Okay, so still over in Fantasy National, I have moved over to the ownership projection area. The one thing that we are going to want to look at is the actual generated lineups that have come out of Fantasy National. And this is actually pretty shocking. I just updated this. It was around 7,000 earlier today, so a lot of action going on. So funny enough, I mean, you would think with the Open, you know, the kind of all the majors done and getting down to the end of the season that, you know, guys wouldn't be playing. I literally pinged DraftKings today because earlier on they had none of the kind of higher up showdowns that they usually have for the first round. It's like a higher up cost, and they did, funny enough, put them in just a little bit ago. So, you know, I was kind of thinking that there, I don't know, wouldn't be a lot of action on this tournament, but that's pretty high for just a regular PGA Tour event, especially after the Open. Okay, neither here or that. So what I'm getting with is that this data should be pretty accurate from an ownership projection. And you can see, like, you know, some of the top guys are just super chalk. So you got Tony Finau, which I'm fading, 30%. Davis Riley, you know, like I said, that's going to be hard at almost 30%. Cam Davis, Thigala, you know, Steele. And you can see, if you see a yellow star, these are my picks. And some are, you know, I did make some movements because I started to see, you know, a lot of the guys that I'm on, like a lot of people, it's chalky, right? But it's a pretty tight field as in talent. So so you can get that kind of right off the bat, who is where the ownership's lying. And then you see my Tringali, Long, and Griot are, you know, right around 15, 16%. Goddard's coming in around 12 right now. Of course, Tom, same one. So, I mean, you could sit and flip these guys. My Neesmith, which I think, I don't know, is kind of shocking. He's at 11. See, there's the Duncan. He's at 10%. I think that's a good play. Michael Glickich. He's like the hardest name for me to say. The Canadian, right out of nowhere. He's usually just brutal, but it's been playing some decent golf. There's Clarkey, Troy Merritt. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I like him a lot from a betting perspective. And of course, you're like, well, if you're thinking he could win this thing, I will play him a little bit. I think this is a good course for him, and I was just kind of back and forth, but I just like what he does with that putter on bent greens. Right, almost won the Rocket Mortgage when Cam Davis was giving him what they went to a one-hole playoff, I think. All right, let's get along. You can see Buckley and Smotherman's coming around 7%. There's Dougie Gim at 6%. There's my buddy Fratelli that I will be plugging him in because, you know, you got to make some, you know, again, from a large GPP perspective, like Ryan Palmer, I don't have a problem playing him. The Shankster at bet, you guys saw that. Stuart Sink, he's one of my differentiations. So if Sink could do something, that'd be great. You know, Bo Hosler, I don't think it's a bad play. I bet him. I haven't, you know, picked him or played him. I got Lee Hodges down here below 5%. So that's some of my, and then my buddy Vaughn Taylor is at 2%. So, you know, to try to get some differentiation. All the rest of these guys, I mean, it's kind of crazy. What you're seeing here is a ton of balanced builds. So, I mean, the ownership after, let's take a look at this from a pricing perspective. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of balanced builds, which you can do that. Even if you plug in one 10,000 guy, it's not hard to stay above, you know, the 6,000, 7,000 threshold. Okay, I think that gives you a good understanding of the ownership projections and where they're falling right now. Let's go talk real quick about weather, and then we'll wrap this thing up. All right, so I am looking at Anoka County Airport. This is right next to the golf course, probably where these guys fly in private, I would think. Right now they're getting a bit of wind, and I mentioned in Michigan we are also getting a bit of wind today. But what we care about is Thursday, and let me just update this one more time. I don't know if we're getting any new data or not. Who's just saying it's coming in? 421, I think, is the last time this pulled. Okay. Anyways, so one time, the afternoon, which is still showing that, you know, so we're the guys that are teeing off around here, you know, between noon and 2, you know, have a pretty easy go. I mean, you can also look at the gust, but, you know, there's not a huge advantage, like what it's stating, that if you tee off early between 10, there's just not a big difference from the afternoon to the morning. And then at one time, and it's still kind of showing this, what you can see is stating that possibly the gusts and the wind could be pretty strong in the morning and dying in the afternoon. It kind of a little bit switched on me, right? Because at one time I was really liking the guys that teed off in the afternoon, and it was showing like the morning was, chill, and it was going to be real strong. So that's when I was going to PM. But right now, funny enough, it's kind of shifted, and it's kind of telling you to play the guys in the morning. And let me think about this. Hold on. Yeah, play the guys in the morning on Thursday, and then the PM flight or the PM on the second day looks easier. But again, that's right now. So do with that what you may. It looks right now funny. If I showed you the PM AM, I mean, if I had to do it right now, I would go AM PM. It looks like we'll have a little bit of advantage, but nothing crazy. So, all right. But the biggest thing I wanted to show you is this is where you want to pull up the information from Windfinder. Of course, as always, I state, for Classic, I don't know, for a 4-day, I mean, first you want to figure out, guys, if you're on the fence on a guy and you see an advantage for the 4 days, maybe better weather condition, there you go to get him through to the cut. But mostly I use this just for showdown purposes. All right, let's go jump back, and I will wrap up my top 20 picks for you guys. Okay, so to summarize my top 5 picks, my Fab 5, I call it. Number 1, I mentioned Hideki Matsuyama. Out of this whole field, from a class perspective, nobody comes close. I mean, he is far above the best golfer in this field, and that he's actually cost less than Tony Finau. I just makes me laugh. But with that said, of course, I'm not going to be playing a lot of Hideki or any of the guys at the 10K. Just that's my own preference. Just the whole Open, and Hideki, I think I mentioned, has played here once, had a pretty good showing. So no issues with Hideki. Of course, who knows? Maybe Tony Finau will come out and win this thing, but that's just where my mind is right now. So Hithagala, I'd rather probably start there. Again, he's been showing up in these kind of weaker fields and doing well. Davis Riley, super crazy chalk, but just fits exactly what we're looking for. Tringali's been in good form, still looking for that first win on tour. It'd be nice to see him to get that. And then Brendan Steele, who also I think is going to be a little chalky, but again, kind of falling under that, I think, a little bit like the Cameron Champ kind of bill where, crazy length, been good with the irons, just typically it's the putter, whatever he does there. The next guys I'll be plugging in to kind of fill out the middle range. Of course, Cam Davis showing up at Super Chalk, but should make total sense. He's also got the Rocket Mortgage coming up. Adam Long, he's got a good history here, solid tournament. There's Mr. Tom Kim. Again, the model wasn't picking him up in the beginning, but he's been playing great golf. And again, like Goddard, it's, I don't know. I'll probably just pair those guys together, and then I'm going to try to fade them, just depending on where the chalk is. JT Poston, of course, the Travelers had a second place, and of course, just won the John Deere. So in rare, amazing form for JT Poston, he is delivering. So jumping on that, and then my buddy Grillo, just sticking with him, man. Just going to keep playing him, and just hope for some a good putter. And then on the song, you got Adam Svensson, who is now Mr. Popular, and everybody's playing from a DFS perspective. So it would be about exactly the time that he will go ahead and just blow up and miss a cut. Matthew Neesmith, right? We're looking for that Valspar kind of showing again where that putter gets hot. Great ball striker. Wyndham Clark, I just kind of like him for what we've seen, what Cameron Champ and Matthew Wolff has done here. I think he's got a similar skill set. Just need the irons to be a little better. And then, again, I think I've literally, over the couple of years I've been doing the show, I think I've picked Doug Gam maybe twice in my life. So this will be interesting. But I hope that he just can putt a little bit. And the CT Pan just been steady. I always say there's a condom play. I think he's kind of the condom play. I don't expect a lot out of him, but for the price tag he's at, he should get you. If he's the last guy you need to get through, he should get through. All right, now for my cheapies. And my cheapies are, typically I try to do 7,000 below. I know some of these guys are around 7,200, but I just really didn't like. I mean, this field, you don't have to go below 7,000. So these are guys I like. Smotherman. So I already mentioned Stuart Sink. I think he's going to be a great play here, and pretty low owned right now. I got my buddy Hayden Buckley. Of course, like I said, the wrist issue looks like it's fine, and he's been playing good golf. And then, of course, another Corn Ferry guy. You got Lee Hodges there. I like both these guys from a cheapie play. And then kind of an old crusty veteran, Mr. Vaughn Taylor. But I've been playing good golf, and this course should suit him pretty well. Like I said, you don't have to. You don't have to hit driver on every hole here. And I think you should be fine. All right, with that said, that is my shows for the 3M Open. Again, thank you so much for spending some time with me. If you do me the honor, click that like button. Give me a comment. Tell me, who do you think is your winner for the 3M Open? Why not? I want to see, who are you guys on? Also, if you've not subscribed, do me the honor and be a subscriber. Again, always trying to keep this base growing. It keeps me doing what I'm doing. And last but not least, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I put out anything I see relevant that I think is good information. But really, I'd say the value of following me on Twitter is I keep a very close eye on through PGA Tour communications of who's withdrawing and what's going on. So if I see anything, I'll let you guys give you the heads up as soon as I can. All right, guys, all the best of luck to us at the 3M Open. Have a great weekend. And I believe the next tournament is the Rocket Mortgage. So I will try to put together something for you guys next week. As I mentioned, the next few weeks is going to be hit or miss. I plan on doing at least a show per week and then kind of kick it back up for the FedEx Cup. So, all right, guys, talk to you later.